Samuel Carter had faced death before. He had buried a wife, buried friends, and buried pieces of himself under 10 long years of silence and work. But nothing in his life, not war, not grief, not loneliness, prepared him for the way Eleanor's voice stopped him on their wedding night. It hurts. This is my first time. The words bit inte flirtatious. They bit inte shy. They bit inte playful. They were afraid. The small cabin near Abilene, Kansas, was quiet except for the soft flicker of the oil lamp and the distant song of crickets outside. The wooden bed creaked under their weight. Samuel had been careful, gentle, almost painfully slow. Eleanor had arrived only 3 days ago, a mail-order bride with a single battered suitcase and eyes that never seemed to rest in one place for long. She was 21. It was nearly twice her age. And suddenly, she went rigid beneath him. Not nervous. Not hesitant. Terrified. Samuel pulled back immediately. He looked at her face in the low, trembling light. Her hands were clenched into fists.
Just like that.
Her
You're doing
breathing
great.
was shallow.
Are you sure?
And in her eyes, he
I'm a
didn't
little
see
nervous.
uncertainty.
Trust me,
He
you're a
saw
natural.
panic. It'll be over quick, he said softly, trying to reassure her. But then he noticed something. Her sleeves had slipped back. And that's when he saw them. Bruises. Old ones. New ones. Yellowed, green, purple, faded into her skin like a cruel map. They ran up her arms, across her wrists, disappearing beneath the fabric of her nightdress. Some were months old. Some looked older than that. Samuel's hands, hands that could break a wild horse, hands hardened by years of rope and iron and sun, suddenly felt like they didn't belong to him anymore. They started to tremble. Who did this to you? He asked quietly. Eleanor broke. Not the quiet crying of a nervous bride. This was something else. This was the sound of a soul that had been carrying pain for far too long. She pulled away, wrapped the sheet around herself, and sat on the edge of the bed, shaking. My stepfather, she whispered at last. Cyrus Bennett. She tried to continue, but the words wouldn't come. She didn't need to finish. Samuel felt something cold crawl up his spine. How long? He asked. 5 years. Every time I fought back, it got worse. So. He stopped fighting. He just survived. She swallowed. When I saw your advertisement in the newspaper. I knew it was my only way out. I didn't care who you were. I just needed to escape. Samuel stood up slowly and went to the wash basin. He soaked the cloth in cool water and came back, then sat beside her, not touching, not crowding, just close enough that she knew she wasn't alone. Listen to me, he said, his voice low and steady. You're safe now. I didn't bring you here to hurt you. I brought you here because I wanted a partner. Not a servant. And partners don't hurt each other. She looked at him like she wasn't sure whether to believe him. We're going to take this slow, he continued. No rush. No pressure. Tonight, you take the bed. I sleep on the floor. Tomorrow, we start over. As friends first. She hesitated. Then nodded. And for the first time since she arrived in Kansas, Eleanor smiled. It was small. Fragile. But real. The next morning, she woke to the smell of coffee and bacon. Back in Ohio, mornings meant fear. If breakfast wasn't ready on time, there were consequences. Here, Samuel was already at the stove, humming quietly to himself. Morning, he said. Hope you like scrambled eggs. I ain't fancy, but I can keep us fed. The cabin looked different in daylight. Simple. Honest. Warm. Over the weeks that followed, something inside Eleanor slowly began to loosen. Samuel taught her everything, how to milk Bessie the cow, who hated everyone equally. How to ride Daisy, his gentlest horse. How to fix fences and gather eggs and plant a small garden by the cabin. He never raised his voice. Never rushed her. Never lifted a hand. In the evenings, he taught her to shoot. At first, the gun scared her so badly she could barely hold it. But little by little, she got better. Stronger. Steadier. And slowly, the flinching stopped. One afternoon, while fixing a stubborn fence post, Eleanor laughed. A real laugh. Samuel froze when he heard it. "What's so funny?" he asked. "You," she said, grinning. "You just argued with that post like it personally offended you." He laughed too. That night, she told him he could sleep on the bed. They stayed on opposite sides, a careful distance between them. But sometime after midnight, her hand found his. He held it like it was something precious. When they finally came together, weeks later, it was nothing like that first night of fear. It was slow. Gentle. And chosen. Afterward, she cried again. But these were different tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For being patient." He kissed her hair. "Thank you for trusting me." 3 months later, Cyrus Bennett arrived. He came with lies, a sheriff, and a claim of ownership. And when Eleanor showed them her scars, the truth finally stood in daylight. The sheriff sent Cyrus away. But men like Cyrus don't let go easily. He came back at night. Drunk. Angry. Armed. And this time, Eleanor didn't hide. She stood on that porch with a gun in her hands and a new strength in her spine. "This ends now," she told him. And for the first time in his life, Cyrus was afraid. He left. And he never came back. A year later, Eleanor sat outside the cabin, her belly round with new life, the garden blooming beside her. She was no longer the girl who arrived shaking and broken. She was strong. She was safe. She was home. Samuel knelt beside her and listened to their chief's heartbeat. "Looks like we saved each other," he said. Eleanor smiled. "Yes," she said softly. "We did." And in the white Kansas sunlight, surrounded by the life they built from broken pieces, they finally knew. Some wounds don't define you. What defines you is what you build after them.